Hello students. So welcome to the series of hypothesis testing. Till now in the lecture series on hypothesis testing we have discussed about how to write the null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. We have also seen about the one-tailed and two-tailed test, and we have looked upon the level of significance and level of confidence. Okay, and we have also seen about the meaning of p-value, what is the meaning of p-value and how can we use p-value into the hypothesis testing. So now we are going to see some examples of hypothesis testing for means. So before going into the example, let me introduce you with the different type of test statistic which we are going to use for hypothesis testing for means depending upon the data given in the question. Okay, so this is the flow chart. Here we have to use two type of statistic, that is one is z statistic and other is t statistic. Okay, so if the population variance is known, that is sigma square is known. Okay, so if the population variance is known, then we are going to use the z statistic, and if the population variance is unknown, then we are going to use the t statistic. Okay, now these two concepts would apply only if the assumptions hold true. Okay, so what is the assumptions? The assumptions are if the population is normal for any sample size. Okay, so if the population distribution is normal, then irrespective of the sample size we are going to use the z statistic or t statistic depending upon the whether we know the population variance or we don't know the population variance. Okay, why is it the case? This is the case because we have seen in our previous slides that only if population is normal, okay, only if population is normal, then sampling distribution curve of the sample mean, that is x bar minus mu divided by sigma divided by root over n. Okay, this follows the standard normal distribution curve. Okay, so this is the case if the population is normal. Okay, so if this is the case we are going to use the z statistic. Okay, and if the population is normal, then x bar minus mu divided by standard deviation of the sample divided by root over n, it would follow the tn minus 1 distribution. Okay, so this would happen when if the population is normal. Okay, so here also we use the t statistic. Okay, so we have seen first assumption. Okay, and then what about the second assumption? The second assumption states that if population is not normal, then only for large sample size we are going to use these concepts, that is sigma square known, sigma square unknown. In case of sigma square known we are going to use the z statistic, in case of sigma square unknown we are going to use the t statistic. Okay, so this assumption tells us about the central limit theorem. Okay, and we know, as we have seen in our previous slides, that central limit theorem justifies the use of normal approximation for sampling distribution of mean if the sample size is large. Okay, so central limit theorem approximates the normal distribution if n is greater than 30, or we can say that is if sample size is large. Okay, so now let us go to the example and we will try to solve the example. Again, now most of you might have got familiar with these examples since we have performed many calculations upon this same example. The reason for introducing the same example in every lecture series is to make you familiar with the all the concepts that is required to solve the hypothesis testing. Okay, so now first of all we will collect the data given in the question. Okay, the average IQ of sample of 50 university students. So number of sample is 50 students. Okay, and average IQ is 505. Okay, so this is the sample mean. This is the sample mean which comes out to be 505. Carry out a statistical test to determine whether the average IQ of university students is greater than 100. Okay, so according to the question, null hypothesis, that is H naught, is mu of the population is equal to 100. Why? Because this is the accepted fact, and the researcher claim, that is the alternate hypothesis, would be mu is greater than 100. Okay, here mu represents the mean of the, here mu represents the average IQ of total population. Okay, and now we are also being given that standard deviation of IQ among students is approximately 20. Okay, so sigma is given as 20. Okay, so now we are required to perform the hypothesis testing. Okay, so now coming back to the previous slides, can you tell me which among the following test statistic are we going to use in the example? Okay, so here in the example we have to calculate hypothesis testing for mean IQ. Okay, and as the population variance, or you can say standard deviation, is given in the question. Okay, so sigma square is known. Okay, so in this case we are going to use the Z statistic. So under H naught, x bar minus mu divided by sigma divided by root over n follows the standard normal distribution curve. Okay, and as we have already seen, what is the test statistic? Test statistic is the Z statistic. Z statistic, since population variance is known. Okay, so this would come out to be, just putting the values in the given equation. Okay, this equation, this will come out to be 105 minus that, if you calculate this will come out to 1.768. Okay, so once we know the Z statistic, we have already seen in our previous slides, we have got the two method of how to approach the problem. Okay, so method 1, and here I will draw a line just to bifurcate the two methods, and here it's shown as method 2. Okay, so what is method 1? This is the p value, and method 2, we have to see the whether our test statistic falls within the zone of acceptance or zone of rejection. Okay, so to calculate the p value, let me draw the test statistic. Let me show the test statistic in the standard normal distribution. This is Z, which comes out to be 1.77. I am just rounding off. Okay, and here, as we have already seen, what is the meaning of p value? P value is the probability of getting a result as extreme as the test statistic. Okay, so since this is the one-tailed test, this is one-tailed test, and in the one-tailed test, p value is the area of the curve under the single tail. Okay, so this area is the p value. So area is equal to p value. Okay, and how can we calculate this area? This area can be calculated from the Z distribution table. Now we can see the Z distribution table, since the value of the table represent area to the left of the Z score. Okay, and what is our Z score? Our Z score is 1.77. Okay, so now this would fall under this category. So here if we select the proper row, that is 1.7, we just have to look at the proper column, that is 0.07. so this would come out to be 1.77. okay, so corresponding to 1.77 we get the value of 0.96164. okay, so the probability that Z is less than 1.77 is equal to 0.96164. Okay, so we got, if you see the Z distribution table, we got this area. Okay, and we are concerned with calculating the remaining area because this is the p-value. Okay, so this would be probability of Z more than 1.77 would be 1 minus 0.96164. Okay, so this would come out to be 0.03836. So as you already seen that our p-value is 0.038. Okay, now we have to compare our p-value with the level of significance. Okay, so now as the level of significance is not given in the question, we can assume that the level of significance, that is alpha, is 0.05, that is 5%. Why we have assumed it? Because by default we have assumed that the confidence level against which we are testing our hypothesis is 95%, that is confidence level is 0.95. Okay, so as we can easily see that p value is less than alpha. Okay, and we have seen in our previous slides that if p value is less than alpha, then we are going to reject the null hypothesis. Now coming back to method 2, here we have to calculate the critical Z. Okay, and what is the meaning of critical Z? Critical Z is the Z score such that the probability of extreme value is equal to level of significance. Okay, it represents that there must be certain critical value and the probability of extreme data beyond this point. Since this is a right hand one tail test, then we have to select the Z critical in such a manner that the area under the right hand tail becomes equal to 0.05. Okay, so we need to calculate probability of Z, okay, greater than some value. What is this value? This value Z critical is equal to 0.05. Okay, so now we can see from the table that we want to select the Z critical such that the probability of Z greater than Z critical is equal to 0.05. Okay, that we want this area to be 0.05. In order to for this area to be 0.05, this area must be 0.95, and we know that the Z distribution table, the Z scores represent area to the left of the Z score. Okay, so we have to search for 0.95 in the table. Okay, so 0.95 lies between this and this value. Okay, so we can approximately takes 0. Z score for this is, that is Z critical, is 1.644. so this is our Z critical. Okay, now as we have seen from the table, our Z critical is 1.644. okay, and what is our Z statistic? Our Z statistic is, as we have found here, is 1.768. okay, so if we represent in the standard normal distribution, this is our Z critical, that is 1.644, and our Z statistic is more than Z critical. Okay, this area is the zone of rejection, that is the zone of rejection, and since our Z value is greater than ZCR, so it falls under the zone of rejection. Okay, so thus we can conclude that we can reject the null hypothesis. Okay, so now you can see that from the both these results we have got the same result. Okay, that we can reject the null hypothesis. Okay, so in the next class we will try to look at some more examples of hypothesis testing for mean from the Z statistic as well as the T statistic. Okay, so till then, keep watching, keep enjoying. YJ Data Science. Thank you.